never give up. I never give up. I never give up. Turning around.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to Neff Inspiration, my show on YouTube and as a podcast with me, your host, Stephan Neff. Another day for a fantastic interview because I've got Lolita Guarin with me. Lolita is a woman who, like me, likes to give everything and then some. And guess what? We both have become masters of burnout and masters of maybe taking on a little bit more than we should. I don't know, just an educated guess. We are both people who are go-getters. We are both people who 100%, that's not enough, 110% at least. Guess what? We both have paid the price. But I can't wait to hear your transformation, Lolita. Thank you very much for coming onto my show.
Thank you so much for inviting.
Absolutely. Wow. Here you are already with this beautiful accent. We already hear that you're originally not from the United States. What was your background? Where did you grow up?
I came from Lithuania 23 years ago to US, and I came for my American dream. And you know, when you watch so many movies growing up in Soviet Union, you think that if you go to America, that's where the money grows on trees. So when I got here, obviously I know that I have to work a lot, and so I started working a lot. But if someone will look at my name and it's Lolita Guarin, they immediately start speaking in Spanish to me here in the US. And before the show, I'll tell you a funny story how that happened. You see, my mom wanted to call me Sandra. And Lolita is not really a common name in Lithuania, but because it sounds very Spanish. So I'm a first grandchild. So when my mom told my dad that he needs to go and register me because my mom was in the hospital, of course he took his mom, my grandmother, and because he's a son, he's going to do whatever mommy says. And the grandmother said, no, Sandra, that's just such a boring name. Everybody has that name. That's my first grandchild. I'm going to call her after somebody famous and that I love. So it happens that the time that I was born, Lolita Torres was very famous Argentinian singer and actress, and my grandmother just loved her. So if you will actually look at the Wikipedia, it says that she was so popular during the Soviet Union times that the babies were named after her. Yep, they're talking about me.
Oh, priceless. It shows just how matriarch some societies are. I love it. Absolutely love it. But it's interesting that you call the Lithuania Soviet Union. It was certainly the Baltic states were at some stage a part of the Soviet Union. But then once the Soviet Union collapsed as such in 1989, that Lithuania became its own. But were the Soviet influences lingering there? Was it a steep learning curve to change into its own country? And was that affecting you and your family?
I think what really makes a change is the people itself. And since we're already, a lot of believe in our own strength during the Soviet Union, and we have a vast history of success and being a European country, and we wanted to be independent for such a long time. First, there was this freedom, but when you think about it, they were the same people. So we just call it a different name, and off you go. Really, in everyday life, there was not much of a change because we're already Lithuanians. We didn't change the language. We're all the same thing. If I talk about stress management, I think our strive for become richer and live better, happier lives, I think it goes from generation to generation. And when I think about, every culture and every generation, we have this strive to be better, and we trying to do more and more and more. And I think if we, on your podcast, we talk about childhood traumas and addictions and all kinds of things. And when you look back, where it's really coming from, it is coming from that environment, how we were growing up. So if you came from an environment that there was a lack of something, and I talk a lot about how stress management actually is being impacted by childhood trauma. And my dad was an alcoholic. And when you were at the beginning of the podcast, you said we are so into burnout because we just love give. The moment when it really opened my eyes, when I heard the interview, Dr. Gabor Mate, or whatever, probably pronouncing his name wrong, and he said, if you grew up in an environment where you were not loved enough for who you are, then you became useful. That's mean you became a workaholic. So if somebody is right now, listening to me and they thinking, oh, I didn't have a parent that was an addict, and I don't have childhood trauma, which I think we all have, just more or less. Even if the parent who wasn't not really attentive to you, were not giving enough support emotionally, was not there for you, was overcritical and narcissist, you still can grow up becoming someone that is a total workaholic and trying to please others and giving yourself all, and giving 100 and 110% is still not enough, and you work and work and work and work. So yeah, that was totally me.
And the work fulfills several needs. First of all, it keeps you busy. So it helps you to escape your reality to a certain degree. But also, it becomes a people-pleasing. It's the external validation. You achieve another few letters behind your name, or you achieve something else, and you get this attaboy, and you, my God, someone recognized me for something, and that is beautiful. And that can become an addiction in its own right. So it's beautiful how you wove that together. Wow. When did you leave? How old were you when you left for the States?
I was 24 years old.
Wow. Okay. So, and in all fairness, as part of the Russian Empire, so to speak, Russian Soviet Union, the alcohol use was so prevalent and was so normal, and I assume the same happened in the Baltic states. I mean, how many? Do you have any inclination how many people drink too much in the Baltic states or in Lithuania?
Probably, we definitely cannot trust any statistics. They came from Soviet Union because they're always the best. This is always the best country, and everybody's super happy. But I can say that I'm in my neighborhood, and I was living in a good neighborhood. Let's put it that way, right? Because somebody can say, well, if you came from the wrong side of the tracks, then you had this addiction everywhere. But no, I came from a neighborhood that was considered brand new, and we had lots of kids, and those are young families. And I tell you, probably, if I just think about my neighborhood and think about my classmates and what we were going through and what I saw as a child, as a teenager, what was happening really around me, I would say 1/5 of parents were struggling with addiction. And I'm not talking about necessarily that everybody were on the street and just purely drunk. Like, for example, my dad will do that. I will be a kid after school doing my homework, and somebody rings the doorbell and they say, hey, can you come and get your dad from the front door, because he's like passed out of sleep, and so the embarrassment of that. But there were a lot of parents who were just drinking or doing whatever addictions that they were doing behind the closed doors. But then as a child, then you really didn't know that was happening. First of all, you took all of this as a natural thing. Like, okay, well, that's what's happening naturally. But only when I grew up, I realized that, there's actually more people that didn't tell everybody else that, hey, my parents are an alcoholic. And even here in the US, when I got here, I realized that when I published my book, and I can say Stress Management for Adult Children of Alcoholics, it's best-selling on Amazon like 6 months ago now I started.
Beautiful.
And I'll be giving this for free, and we can talk about that later. I realized that it really doesn't matter what country you're coming from. it's really coming from the same human need to be
Mm.
accepted and wanted and appreciated.
Absolutely.
And I think in Lithuania, I remember my parents were saying, or my grandparents, that there was a very big influence when Lithuania became occupied by Russia, that there was so much of suffering and loss that was really impacting the population. And you think about Europe after all those wars that happen all the time. There is such a despair that in order to soothe yourself, you will drink something, you will do some sort of addiction. How you can manage such a loss and such a terror. So I think there's so much of suffering already going from generation to generation, that addiction, it became such a natural thing. But also that trauma, that the children that grew up in that environment also carry on the same trauma, and then you can become yourself an addict in order to soothe yourself, or you become a narcissist because you just need to meet your needs no matter what. Or you can be maybe
Nice.
somewhere in between and say, wait a minute, I don't want to do this the same repetition as my parents did. And so that would be
Nice. Nicely said. Oh boy. No, it's so true. So true. And I think with this intergenerational trauma is such a huge issue, and we keep forgetting that. And it's only recently that in the last few years that experiments have come out that show very clearly that trauma is laid down in the genes and is handed down in generations. And so it's not just the coping mechanisms that we witness as young children, or lack of coping mechanisms that we witness, but it's also that there's a genetic kind of message being brought down that life is a bitch and you better be careful. So there are actually a number of things that are set out from birth or even before birth towards what is how we actually ultimately then show up in our own lives and react to the things that happen to us in our lives. Bloody hell. So here we were, both of us going out there, proving to ourselves and proving to everyone else that we are doing so well. Yay! Look at me. And it's hard. Were you tempted to escape yourself? There must have been so many times when you felt lonesome, helpless, hopeless.
I think there was a book that I read. It was by Till Swan. It said the pandemic of loneliness. And what really was so impactful to me when I was reading about that, that says why you will feel lonely even if living in a million billion population. And the reason why you want to escape that pain is because you do not feel like you being loved and appreciated. And I think that's why I was overdoing and being workaholic and overachiever. So finally I can get that validation from someone, and they said, yes, I see you matter. Because when you grow up in the environment where the part of you is not being seen or not being liked, you will tuck that away and think, for example, oh, I love singing, but somebody says, no, you really, or especially the authority figure, your parent, your grandparents, somebody around you, the teacher, siblings, and say, well, you suck at singing, so you better shut up. I don't want to hear this. And then that part of yourself that you really love, you just tuck it away. And how is that comes to loneliness, which just totally blew my mind. It was like, so every part of yourself that you love and you appreciate, you tuck it away because other people don't approve it. So then what happens is you when you meet someone new, or even the same people that in your environment, they know you for a very long time, they can tell you, I love you. And you will think to yourself, no, you really don't, because you don't know me. You don't know who I am, because you don't know all of those parts of me that I'm hiding. And guess what? I'm not going to show you all those parts of me to you, because I'm afraid whatever I'm going to show it to you, you'll get scared or disgusted by me, and then you leave me. So that blew my mind, because that's mean I'm going to be lonely forever
Huh.
because I'm afraid to open up myself for someone to show who
Huh.
I truly am. Because if I'm going to show it, they're going to leave me anyway. But then I have a fear of abandonment because of the childhood trauma. So you're going to get, you you get in this circle that just looks like there's no really way out. And yes, it could be a lot of times when you think like, oh my gosh, I cannot handle this and I need to grab something to suit myself. But that is the time for you to heal, do your shadow work, and work with your inner child and really appreciate. And that's what they coach. And I have lots of clients that come for me for the burnout. They're like, oh, I'm a business owner and I'm a single mother with 2 kids and I'm totally burnout. And I'm like, okay, let's ask yourself why you are workaholic. And let's start loving yourself. And that's the self-love. That's where it really starts to start healing that.
Oh, so true. So true. But sometimes you need someone to actually really hold a mirror in front of your face. And I guess that's where you are of such value, because you actually had to go through the darkness yourself and then figure out. Now, you were a master in answering, or not answering my question, because when I asked you, well, what were your escapes that maybe you were not so necessarily proud of? We all have that. So I was a workaholic long before I became an alcoholic. Obviously, alcohol, you saw the negative things, but was alcohol actually playing a role in your life?
No, you see, my escape was really being a workaholic and trying to achieve better and better things. And
Right.
okay, I wrote one book. Let's write 2 books. Let's write 3 books. Let's do this better. When you in school as a child, you're making better grades. You're trying to be prettier, skinnier. Have all of this achievement. So my dad was an alcoholic, and I told myself since I was a child, I'm like, I will never drink like that. This is disgusting.
Okay.
And then also both of my parents were smokers. And I remember coming to the kitchen when I was a child and opening the door, and there is this cloud of smoke. And I remember when I will go and kiss them good night, and there's this tension, the smell and everything. And I promised myself I will never even smoke a cigarette. And up to today, I never had a cigarette in my mouth. So I
Excellent.
already have this. I see that there's so much of suffering that comes from disgust from what my parents did. So it comes
Interesting.
to substances and everything like that. I really tell myself like, no, I'm not going to be like this. But then I do the other addictions of being a workaholic. Then another addiction that I realized, because I really wanted to be accepted, I will get myself into relationships with a narcissist, and I'm trying to be in a contact and continuous being improving myself and getting validation from men who kind of like the same like my dad, like never paid attention to me. And then it became this addiction of i have to I have to get them. And those men that want me, I'm like, no, I don't want them. I want that ones that I cannot get. And then it just was like never ending story. It's like a running for the horizon.
Oh, what a beautiful insight. But that insight, you don't just wake up one day to have that insight. When did you figure that out?
So when I started working here in the US, and I was working, 50, 60 hours a week, whatever that asked me to be. And I realized you can make money if you ask for more responsibilities. So I was getting more projects, more responsibilities. Of course, I was a people pleaser. So whatever there is a coworker asking me, can I help them with that presentation? I'll be sure. And I'll be working my weekends and the physical, when I come back home and just collapse uh, on the sofa and finally watch the last hour before I go fall asleep on the sofa. It's that physical exhaustion, not that much of physical, but like that mental exhaustion. It felt good because I was like, I feel like I accomplished something today. Obviously, that was moving me towards burnout. And I was not, of course, not having a good nutrition because something fast and easy, microwavable, pizza in the break room, time for exercise. Were you kidding me? That was the only one time I get off the desk when I go use the ladies' room. That was my exercise for today. So obviously, all of this led to the burnout, and it totally messed up the hormones in my body. And we'll had to go to emergency room. And I remember doctor said, "Thank good that you came a little bit earlier because otherwise I don't know what have happened." But I was in my 30s, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be this. I'm in my 30s. I'm supposed to be healthy, and I
Exactly.
can do this. I'm in my prime. And so fast forward, I realized there are lots of things I can help to change in my life, and I can do it naturally without pills, and this is such an easy solution. Let's just get a pill. Yeah, like let's get addicted to something else. How about that? Um, but and I became a stress management coach. That was like 10 years ago, and I was reading a book about how to just purely about business, how to manage your clients and the money and all this stuff. and and the author mentioned that her father was alcoholic, and she said that there is such a thing called adult children of alcoholics. That for me was a brand new thing. I had no idea it exists, since I grew up in Lithuania, and well, there were plenty of people around that were suffering with addiction, but
Mm.
we never talked about that because, well, number one thing, it's embarrassing. We keep everything in the family. You do not talk about this. We're just gonna act like everything is fine.
Uh-huh.
This is great. So when she said about that, oh, that book helped her a lot, that's when I realized, like, wait a minute. Oh, so I behave like this, and I'm so anxious and stressed out, because I have all of this childhood trauma. Because if you will have two people in the room and something happens, they will be reacting to the situation very differently if they grew up in different households. And I realized that a lot of my stress, I was actually creating myself, because I didn't know how to manage my emotions. I didn't know how to manage myself in the situation.
So true. So true. But then again, you need to expose yourself to difficult situations. And often enough, your life is helping you there. The universe is, or God, whatever you believe in, is helping you by putting you in front of obstacles where you think, oh my God. And you try to somehow overcome it. For example, leaving Lithuania, being in your early 20s, trying to make it on your own. Now, that's a challenge. Last time I looked. And you threw yourself at it, and you had to learn some lessons the hard way. And I think that is the beautiful growth that is resulting from that trauma. Because you've got the trauma from childhood, you've got new trauma that's building up, new fears, new anxieties. Were you able to, how were you living with your emotions? Did you recognize your emotions for what they were? Or especially the negative ones? So, or did you feel, when you were low, did you feel ashamed or guilty of being low? Or did you see it as from the word go, as a message from your body that you're actually burning the candle on both ends?
So I like the saying, you cannot understand something that's outside of your understanding. And so when you grow up in the environment where you're constantly stressed, you don't know what is not stress is. That is a natural state, to be constantly anxious and hyper vigilant. And so to address the first statement that you said, when it takes a lot of strength, changing a culture and a country and continent. To me, it came very natural, because when somebody grows up in an environment with an addict, meaning things always change. You cannot plan for them. You maybe can plan for your state of mind, of telling yourself in the morning, I don't know what the day is going to bring. Probably it's going to be tragic. So I'm going to prepare mentally for the most horrific thing that's going to happen to me. And if it happens less than that, I'm in good shape. So one thing I really try to inspire in my clients who come from dysfunctional family is to use your trauma and use the way you learned how to behave as a superpower. So if how can I compare being in a new country and being in a dysfunctional family? Is there are a lot of stresses that you already know you'll be handling, even if they will come and be thrown at you. Because when you're continuously doing something over and over and you surviving, then you build trust in yourself. So I knew since I was already a teenager, no matter what will be thrown at me, I'll handle it. I'm not going to die, because I didn't die before. So I think that's the resilience that helped me to establish myself in the new country because I grew up in a dysfunctional family. So
Mm.
also I was very well handling loneliness or
Of
starting
course,
brand new conversations with people and making friends
of
uh,
course.
because I was using that as a strength.
Ah, yeah, it's beautiful how you actually outlined that. These are all sort of the characteristics that unfortunately children of alcoholics or children in very chaotic environments um, will take on. This will be the classic responses that they show later on in life. Now, some of these responses can be very productive. Some of them can be very, very uh, destructive. Let's call it like that. For example, I mean, one of the typical responses is that you might be actually sabotaging relationships, that you actually either believe that you're not worthy it, that you're not worth a decent relationship, or in fact, even if you're worth it, that that nothing ever works out for me. Men are always pigs, and therefore you're basically becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. Um, have you noticed something like that happening in your life?
Absolutely, because I got married here and realized that was really not the husband that it should be. Now I'm divorced, but it took me 13 years to realize that I was pretty much just doing the same thing, the same relationship dynamic I had with my father.
Yeah.
And obviously after that, I am looking at the relationships very differently. But it takes courage to acknowledge it that you're in a
Wow.
different situation. But I think like with any change, well, first of all, um, we do this because it's normal. That's survival instinct. You know, we will sabotage ourselves because it's normal. That's my life.
Mm.
That's the normalcy, and our brain likes to survive. So we're gonna do whatever and repeat what feels comfortable. And I think change happens only in two ways: or you are very inspired by someone to change, or you're so in pain. And majority of my pain happened really because I was in the same situation in repetition. Then I said, okay, this is too painful. I'm gonna go. And that was impacted in it's physically I was not really in abusive marriage, but emotionally I was. So and that it continuously was building me to such a pain that I couldn't take it anymore. But if I will be so enduring and that continuously going with that without really taking enough courage or being inspired to do self-development, self-love, and
Mm.
giving myself that opportunity to be myself, thinking
Mm.
that I deserve a better relationship, I deserve
Mm.
a better life, I would probably
Exactly.
still with the same guy and be living for the rest of my life with him.
No, very, very true. Having said that, I mean, often enough there are negative emotions that we put on ourselves, maybe from our upbringing, from our core beliefs. Um, that is, I mean, it is. Would you blame yourself for who you are today? Is that, I mean, there's the one, on the one hand, there's the extreme ownership. Everything that is relating to me, I play a role in. Now, that pendulum can swing too far across. How do you look at that? Do you get these negative emotions, shame, guilt?
So I used to get a lot of that, and what really helped me a lot to understand how do I behave with myself
Huh?
is when I heard that it says, well, if you grew up in a dysfunctional family and with a narcissist, which I could say an addict, it's in a way it behaves like a narcissist, meaning you didn't have enough love and affection and all that, and
Mm.
you are not appreciated and validated. Um, we behave with ourselves the same way. So when I heard that, I was like, wait a minute, there's no way I love myself. And I'm like, okay, let me really think about it. Do I talk down to myself? You know, like, oh, I don't know, I dropped something like, oh, how stupid you could be, you know, or like little things. And I realized, oh my gosh, yes, I am talking to myself like a narcissist because that's all I know. And I had to really stop myself from really doing that and paying attention. What am I really thinking? What am I really saying? And I actually asked my friends, I said, would you mind telling me when I talk about myself negatively? Would you tell me when I feel like, oh, looks too good to be true, and I'm waiting for the second shoe to drop or something like that? Because it takes when we're so used to repeating the same thing and talking to ourselves the same way, we will never see this coming. So I will recommend always have like accountability partner, like your friend or spouse or somebody who's really there with a lot of patience with you, and they want to see you succeed, that they can point those things out so you can start catching them, whatever's happening right in front of you.
Wow, that's a beautiful thing. I think the other way of looking at it is that actually you can be your own accountability partner if you actually stop and start journaling, start writing things down, writing your thoughts down, and forcing yourself to be honest. Because sometimes there are amazing things that you put on paper, and the moment you finish the sentence and you read it and you think, huh? That's bullshit. But it's sometimes our thoughts are often something very wavy, ethereal thing. You don't put it in words. The moment you put it in words, either speaking to someone or speaking out loud, even dictating it, suddenly your ears are listening to your voice and you think, eh? What? And it's such a beautiful, powerful thing to put things into words. So I actually love it, what you're saying there.
And you know, I read there was research done that if when you give an emotion a name, you acknowledging it, so then you let it go. Whatever you resist persists, right? So that's the way to heal. That's how you handle your emotions. But number one thing, you need to allow yourself to feel instead of running away from those emotions. And even if, you know, like we would just say, oh, you were talking bad about to yourself. I remember there was you would be with me, like, for example, something happens and then I get angry. And then I tell myself, oh no, I'm not supposed to feel angry. What's the matter with me? I'm a stress management coach. I'm supposed to be this good. And
Exactly.
anger is a bad word. And then I will get angry. Then I got angry. Like, that's not work. So I always recommend whatever you are, accept yourself. So whatever you're feeling, allow yourself to feel that. And you can acknowledge and say, oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I was just angry at myself that I was angry. And you know what? That's okay. If I feel like I still want to be angry at myself, I'm going to give myself time and say, okay, I'm going to be angry at myself. All right. So I'm going to now tell myself all the disgusting things I feel about myself. Well, guess what? That moment when you allow yourself to call yourself names, you're probably not going to want to do that anymore. So that's how you're handling and transforming that emotion. So imagine this like a wave that's coming from the ocean. You don't have to beat it. You don't have to go under it. You don't have to run for the mountains. You just can, you know, just swim in it. Just let go, you know, like just let go and just float and acknowledge that it's there. And you allow yourself to be that, and you go through that. Because a lot of times, especially if we grow up in the dysfunctional family, and we don't feel like we're good enough, and we will try to be better and better, that is actually counterproductive. And I want to say something before I forget. The fear of abandonment, it's a very, very real deal. And when I tell my clients, stop abandoning yourself, I hear a pushback. They're like, what do you mean stop abandoning yourself? Anywhere I go, I take myself with me, right? I'm like, right. But if you do not allow yourself to feel what you're feeling, if you're not allowing yourself just to be in the moment and be not perfect, you are abandoning yourself. The same as, let's say, your parents, your caregivers, your authorities were abandoning you. So you just display the same behavior like you used to. So make sure in any situation you do not abandon yourself. And that's, you know, comes with the people pleasing, doing others like they want you to, and do all of that. But the majority of really the core of this is allowing yourself to be you and feeling who you are and be okay with that.
Beautiful. That's very, very true. And it's a lovely way of actually putting it, don't abandon yourself. Wow, you've got so many good things. And I know one thing that I that I know you said is don't gaslight yourself. Now that was an interesting thing. Explain that to me.
So, gaslighting, for those who don't know the original story, I read that there was a husband who wanted to drive his wife crazy, so he will adjust the gas lights to make sure that the what's the English word now?
That they have brighter or dimmer or bright.
Yeah, or dimmer, and they start flickering. They go flickering, and the wife would say, "Oh, the lights are flickering." He's like, "No, they're not." So basically, when you grew up in the environment where somebody were totally negating what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what your
Right.
needs are,
Right.
you will start to gaslighting yourself as well. So, for example, I remember I would be sometimes angry or have a headache, and I will hear from my environment, "No, you're not hungry. No, you're not cold. No, you're not tired." And so you really just learn not to trust yourself. So it is such a grooming for a people pleasing. That's mean you need other people to tell you how you feel. And
Right.
and it's how can you even go through life without even trusting yourself? But so many of us do that. And again, because you grow up with that, you think that's a normal thing, and then you gaslight yourself of just fully ignoring your needs and fully abandoning yourself of there are so many situations that for example, you could be physically tired or mentally tired, especially let's say when how you reach a burnout and you're a workaholic. You will not allow yourself even to be tired, because you'll be like, no, 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 I'm not tired. Although you know you're tired, you feel your body tired, you will say, no, I'm not tired. Or somebody, let's say you have a need for, I don't know, let's say buy ice cream. And you want to reward yourself. There's something that you like doing it, and it's great to reward yourself. But then you tell yourself, no, I'm not worthy, so I'm not going to do this. And somebody told me that I'm not worthy, so I'm just going to really negate my needs, and I'm going to tell myself that I don't want this. Or the opposite, you will tell yourself that you want something when somebody else tells you, oh, this is a good thing for you, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this. That's why also why diets don't work that many times. If you come from a place that you're going to do what other people tell you to do, but you don't really trust in yourself that that's what you need, you're gonna try to push yourself and tell yourself this through this all this gaslighting of, oh yes, yes, I'll do this and will be successful. And I don't really talk well about those big gurus that tell you to, you can do this, you just push yourself through it, and you just tell yourself those affirmations every day, and you're gonna walk on that fire coals, and guess what, you're not gonna get burned. And anyway, so what is that you're doing? You're gaslighting yourself and you're abandoning yourself. And so it might look like maybe for a few months you'll be on this high thing of horse and, hey, I'm gonna do this, but somehow you still will end up not successful. Because guess what, you just left yourself behind of totally negating yourself and your feelings and your needs.
Very nicely said. Because yes, absolutely. It is not as easy of just pushing through, just one more, you can do it, etc. No, it's sometimes time to actually just step back, feel the emotions, and ask yourself, why do I feel that emotion? Often enough, emotions are messages from your body, because you might have burned the candle on both ends for far too long. And you need to be down. Your body is screaming for a break, for a rest. And if you just keep pushing because a guru, that's his style, or her style could be. And yeah, you're quite right. So that is where we need to begin to explore our body, explore our emotions, explore our relationship with ourselves, with our food, with our hydration, with our sleep, with our all those kind of things that you can actually control. And very soon you realize that the power of choice, the privilege of choice, is there every single second in the day. And we often feel such a victim of circumstances that we don't realize it, that often enough we have created those circumstances, and that with taking small but consistent action along a certain path, we can change. We make dramatic changes, but not dramatic. Now I make a dramatic change, the New Year's resolution. Bullshit. But rather, actually, no, this year I make the resolution that I don't make any resolution. Now that would be a good start.
Yes. And, just to add on to that, when I say we need to realize really starts from honoring yourself, and true love is when you accept yourself unconditionally, right? And that's mean to remind yourself that there is nothing's wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. We are all unique in our own ways, and that is the beauty of it. So when you start from the place of I don't have to change myself, why am I doing that? Okay, how is that? And my clients hate this question when they come to me and they say, "Oh, I'm on burnout or whatever, and I'm working overtime," let's say, and they say, "How is that serving you?" So it sounds like you're doing something against yourself, but you're not, because you think it is serving you. So how?
Yeah.
So it's a survival mechanism. You think you want more money, you want more validation,
Yeah.
whatever. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. That's your need. You feel like you need to have a validation. So
Nice.
have it.
Nice.
This is your need, and there's nothing wrong. This is just beautiful. So if we start of reminding ourselves that we are beautiful in God's and universe's eyes, and this is all on purpose, and really when
Nice.
you think about it, there is no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. It's only us that label this. And if we just kind of zoom out and look at ourselves and think, it just is, and there's nothing wrong with me. It's just
Yeah.
a different variation that I still can choose.
Yeah.
Because when I have clients that come from dysfunctional families, they say, "Oh, yeah, that's it. I messed up." This is what my sentiment was when I discovered that I was an adult child alcoholic. I was like, "That's it. This is it. The rest of my life doesn't matter because I messed up. I messed up in the head, and this is over." No, it's not. It's
No.
good that you know yourself, but now is the time for you to pay attention. How do you behave? What you do? What your actions? Honor yourself, and then ask yourself, am I happy where I am? Because there's plenty of people who are very happy to be addicts, burnout, and that's what they want. And it's okay. You can honor yourself doing the same thing if you want to. It's fine. But if you feel like you don't want this anymore, then try introducing something new in your life. But if you not succeed, give yourself a break. Say, you know what, I tried. That's okay. There is tomorrow. So that is where unconditional love comes to you and say, you know what, if I'm not going to, I don't want to work out today. And you know what, I am not going to. And starting from that, that's the true love and appreciation that you need to start to unravel all of this and start healing.
Beautiful. Absolutely. And I think there are seasons in a life. There are times when it is okay to push and when it's okay to burn out, because there might be circumstances that force you to, or that you're willing to actually get ahead of something. That's absolutely fine. Accept it for what it is. But also be open to the fact that in 6 months' time, you might feel very different, and you might therefore may choose to go down a different path. When you come to a fork in the roads, well, there is another decision waiting for you. And you might then choose actually to say, good, I had to do what I had to do. But now, is that really still serving me? And I think this is a question that we continuously ought to ask ourselves, maybe even on a regular basis, maybe every 3 months, to actually sit down and review our lives and actually try to figure out, well, actually, this last year has been shit. Well, first of all, has it been shit? Well, yes, actually it has been. Thank you. So what were the good things? And then often we forget about that. And so we actually can see what were the wins, what were the easy wins, what were the hard wins. And now if we were to say, okay, based upon that, maybe looking forward, what could be some low-hanging fruit that would now help us forward? And it might not be that you do now the gym membership and every day at least 2 hours of workout. That might not work out with for you, but you might actually say, hang on, okay, I'm willing to make a change. Where do we start? And sometimes that's hard. And that's where I guess a coach comes in. That's where I guess someone comes in who can figure out with you what's your baseline, where are you right now, and what are the issues that are affecting you. And some of them might have very easy solutions that you just didn't see so far. And I guess that's where the power of an accountability partner comes in. So you said it very nicely there. You don't know what you don't know. And only when someone then asks you the right question, someone who listens to what you're saying and more importantly, listens to what you're not saying, that might then actually open your eyes. Just one question asked the right way, and your own brain says, huh, okay. Sounds familiar, eh? Oh, Lolita, you're an amazing woman. I love the way you approach life. I love the insights that you have developed, often through lessons learned the hard way yourself. And I think these are the best teachers who have gone through the darkness and who are now in the light, and who are willing to share and who are willing to help others further down the path. Wow. Lolita, if people like what you said and they gel with you and they want to know more about you, where can they find you?
So they're welcome to go to my website, beamazingyou.com, or just search and just put my name, Lolita Guarin, in the Google, and it will give you all. But for those who are listening in still with us, I have a free gift, my best-selling book, like I already mentioned before, Stress Management for Adult Children of Alcoholics. And those who right now saying, I didn't have anybody alcoholic in my family, this really covers a lot of childhood trauma, not necessarily that has an alcoholic parent, but for those who are not emotionally supported or a narcissist or with anybody with the childhood trauma. And this book is a hard copy. Is anyone who would like to give that book to someone that they know that can, can help them on the recovery and healing journey. This available on Amazon. And the ebook, I will give you a link. You're welcome to post that. So for those who feel like this is their calling and they have enough courage to start tackling those little things. And the book has 25 chapters, and I address every single little thing there, like fear of abandonment or being have difficulty with intimate relationships and stuff, and have lots of activities and really things that you can take action. It's not just only the book about says this is what this is about. Like, okay, we already know that stress is bad for you, but what do you do about that?
Nice.
And so I also do a coaching one-on-one. So you're welcome to a scheduled session with me. You just go to my website, click on the button. And if you have an organization that you would like that I can teach them how to manage burnout and stress in the workplace environment, I also do that. And you can find me on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Beautiful. Look down there into the description of the YouTube video and of the podcast, because all of Lolita's information is down there, and her links and a link to her book. So don't be shy. Go down there. What have you got to lose, guys? There is some beautiful, valuable information and how to do things just waiting for you. So again, it goes down the route of actually we all have got the power to change. We are not hopeless, helpless victims. You might feel like it at a moment, but let me encourage you and let me pull the blinkers off your eyes. There are so many things you can do. And the sheer fact that you've listened to the whole interview here tells me that you're ready for change. So it's just, there's a bow and all the tension all your life so far has pulled you back this far. You're ready to let go. You just need to figure out the moral direction and the things, the vision that you want in your life, and let rip, and then take small steps, but continuous steps. And every day work on that. And in no time will you be a very different person. And I think that is the cool thing. So Lolita, you're an amazing woman. Thank you very much for helping people out there to achieve their goals, and for being their accountability partner, and helping them with the right questions. You're an amazing woman.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
And you guys out there, look after yourself and live with passion. Bye. That was beautiful. You did ever so well there. It was a lovely, lovely interview. You're an amazing woman. I'm really, really pleased. I can't wait to read your book. I can't wait to look at that and leave a review down the line. So no, very happy with that. Wow.
Thank you. You're one of the top 10 best hosts that I've been interviewed by. The only thing I felt like there are a few places that you gave me like two questions at once, and then I started with the first one, and
Sorry.
then I'm thinking, but what was the second one? I really want to address that, and I didn't want it to look like I'm like ignoring part.
No, that's me. That's me.
Talk about that.
Oh no, that's me being so excited. Oh yeah, I want to know more. I want to know more. So that's my own brain going, yeah. So no, you did amazing. It was really lovely. No, this is not a tick question, pass MCQ if you do 80 or 90% of answers. No, we were just beautifully bouncing the ball around, and I think our passion to live shone through, and that was really, really beautiful. So thank you so much for your time. What will happen now is you get automatically invited to be for a second interview, and that second interview, it's called 10 points in 10 minutes, because a lot of people don't want to spend an hour or can't spend an hour. So for those people, I have created that kind of condensed version, the executive summary, so to speak. The remit is that that you are in an airport lounge, and you're meeting someone who is truly deserving to hear your messages. But in 10 minutes, your planes are leaving, and you will never ever see each other again. What would you tell that person? In the past, I recorded it like we do right now in speaker view, but Zoom is stupid. So sometimes my guest was talking, and my face was still on top, and it just looked shit. So nowadays, I ask my guests to basically just start a Zoom meeting as you are right now, and say, "Hi, I'm Lolita Guarin, and here are my 10 points in 10 minutes. Number one." Boom. And basically give that out. With that, I try to get those people who have got a shorter attention span. So we get different groups of people that we can target, and that hopefully will get value from your input and might get back to you. For you, it's a second interview. It also, a lot of people then break it up and put it as reels or put it as shorts, etc. Yeah, so that works quite well. Or put it as a video business card onto their website. So it is a win-win-win for everyone. So I heartily invite you there. Your interview will go live in mid-March. So we're now mid-January, about 2 months now. My VA will send you 5 different things that you can put out there. So we'll give you some stuff that you can do. Of course, you can do your own, whatever you wish. Be my guest. Yeah. And if you have got any other ideas how we can co-create and collaborate, I'm very happy to be in with anything. You're an amazing woman, and it's just lovely to you made my day. You really reminded myself to love myself today and to accept myself today for who I am, warts and all, which is sometimes hard. So I'm my worst inner critic. That's my weakness. So I need to learn of that and need to work on that. That's for sure.
The last thing that I want to say, we all are the same not perfect. We all are injured. We all are injured. Just some of us more than others. And there is no perfect person. So we're
That's
not
true.
really that special after all. We all are damaged in a way.
I love that. Lolita, thank you so much for your time. I truly, truly had a lovely interview here. I wish you a fantastic rest of the weekend. Okay. Make the most out of it.
Thank you. Thank you. You too.
Bye.
I never give up. I never give up. I never give up. Turn around.